I like your pants red. Boom, 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 boom. I like the dirt on your knees.
Look at this photograph. Every time it always makes me laugh. It's so red.
Had a couple of kids since then. Haven't seen us in God nowhere.
Welcome to the pod.
2 cents, Josh and Spence.
That was take 2, we'll be honest.
Take 2.
That was all right.
All right.
That's all right. We sounded good, though.
All right. We're your hosts, Josh.
Spence.
What up, y'all?
Let's get it, man.
Let's get it. All right. So here's the deal. Let's do a little market update. Spencer.
Market minute?
Spencer, how's the market? How's the market?
Market's perfect.
Never been better.
It's perfect.
Literally never been better.
That's right.
But if we were to get into it, let's get into it. What does that mean?
Was this was our very first episode, so it's been a while since we've done one of these.
We're in a new space since then.
Yep.
We're in our little cave.
Different market too.
Different.
Well, I mean, same marketplace, but
Right.
the market has
Same zip codes.
has shifted. Yeah.
Word. All right.
Word.
How's the market?
Market's good, man. So right now in the Fargo-Moorhead area, we have 943 houses for sale.
Which is crazy. Well, not crazy.
It's up a lot. It's up a lot from the last time we did
well,
this.
because I feel like in that first episode we talked about how at that time there was like 500 some homes for sale, right?
Yeah.
And so if you look at it from that perspective, there's almost twice as many homes for sale,
Right.
Right?
Well, when do you think we did that? Well, there's around a little over 700 probably.
At that time?
Yep.
Oh yeah, because I think we talked about how like the lowest of the low,
Yep.
the lowest inventory was right around 500. But yeah, that makes sense.
538.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, what does that mean for our clients?
Well, with supply going up, right? Higher inventory, supply's going up. Demand is going down because we have higher interest rates, so less people are wanting to buy houses. It's also, holidays coming up, weather's starting to cool down. Nobody wants to move in the winter, obviously. So demand's going down, which is kind of shifting us into a buyer's market versus the crazy, crazy seller's market that we've been in for the past while.
Right. I would say and we'll get into it, but I would say we have gone from an intense, crazy seller's market to now a softer seller's market, if not maybe potentially a balanced market. But it's still very much like, and we could get into it, but I would still say it's more of a seller's market right now. However, it's like whatever kind of relativity you want to put to that. Because like relative to a couple months ago, it's very much like a buyer's market.
Right. Well, and for me, that's what I'm used to. So now I see a house on the market for 20 days and I'm like, oh, something's wrong with it. But that's no, in a normal market, you don't it takes longer than that to sell your house.
100%.
But I'm used to, oh, this house has been on the market for 1 day. Let's get into it now before there's 8 offers on it.
Right. So yeah, the number of active listings right now, almost just about 900, and from the low, 538. So we've got almost twice as many homes for sale, right? So meaning if you're a buyer, now you have, because instead, and you could attest to this, and we talked about it in that first market pod, but house hits the market, you got to drop what you're doing and go show it, because guess what? 15 other people are looking at it right now.
Right.
And so you're then competing with 10 other offers, and you got to put in these crazy offers just to get your offer accepted. Versus now that sense of urgency is kind of declining a little bit. So you got a little bit more time to hem and haw, a little bit more
we'll go view it on Friday.
Oh, check it out.
We got time.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. Let's see. See Thursday afternoon, maybe.
Yep. There's an open house this weekend. I'll just go to that.
Yep, 100%. But another thing to that, I guess the earlier point talking about is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? So if you look in January, February of this year, the absorption rate was 1.28 months, meaning if no other homes got listed for sale, it would take 1.28 months to sell all of the homes that are on the market. Okay. Now, and all the numbers that we're looking at are based on August. So we can't look at September numbers because it's still September. But right now there's 2.35 months worth of inventory, meaning that, again, there's about twice as many homes on the sale or on the market. So it would take twice as long now to sell all the homes that are for sale. But again, well, it's more of a buyer's market now. Well, like according to the National Association of Realtors or whatever, they would call anything like less than 4 months worth of inventory a seller's market, right? So meaning it's still a seller's market historically, just like recent history makes it feel like it's a buyer's market right
well,
now.
it's the high. I'm looking right now. It's the highest it's been in the past year.
100%.
That absorption rate.
Which then leads to the sold to list price ratio, meaning you listed your home for $200,000. What percentage of that are you getting? So in May of this year, it was about 101%. So if you list for $200,000, your house is selling for $202,000. Basically,
on average.
On average. On average. Yep. Well, right now, and if you look at the graph, and if you, Dusty, if you get the camera on me here,
Watch the YouTube.
Or if you're on the YouTube, if you're not on the YouTube, you need to
watch the Spotify.
You need to get on the YouTube. But basically, it's just like a sharp, like sold the list price, like sharp increase, and now it's like a sharp decrease.
Yep.
I don't know. Had to make a big deal about that
for the listeners. His hand went up and then it went down.
But right now, so from 101 to now 99% basically. So 2%. So instead of listed for 200,000, you sell it for 202. Now it's more like you sell it for 198, which again, in the big scheme of things, like nothing crazy. That's still cool, but it just points to where the market is at and where it's going.
Right.
So a couple months ago, it's like writing up offers as fast as you can, people bidding up the price, and then saying, hey, if the appraisal comes in low, we'll pay the difference. Don't worry about it. No, we don't need to inspect the home. It looks fine. You know, when do you want to close? 4 months, 30 days? Like, we'll make it happen. You just tell us. To where now it's more of like,
there's room for negotiation.
100%.
Helped put in an offer a few weeks ago, and it's like, okay, now we don't have to offer them $20,000 more than what they're asking for. We're the only offer, so we kind of have some room to negotiate and play around and see if us as the buyers can try to get a little bit better of a deal.
Yeah.
But as you said, still kind of a seller's market, so it seems like they're still selling fairly fast, not one day fast, but the competition is really where it seems like it's a lot different. You're not up against a bunch of other people. So from
a seller's perspective, though, I mean, you would definitely want to. So when the market's crazy hot, like you can't miss. You know what I mean? It's like throw a price out there, like somebody will pay for it. Like, should I paint these walls? It's like, you don't even have to vacuum the floor. Like somebody's going to buy this thing, right? Versus now it's more like, well, we should, what project should we do, and what do you think that we should price it at? And, and now it's more price reduction conversations. Like you're seeing a lot more price reductions. It's much more common now, which was not the case a couple months ago.
Right.
Which again, and it's just one of those things. It's not necessarily a good time or a bad time because you either need to buy a house or you don't, or you are having another kid or you're getting divorced or your life is happening. So it's just a matter of like what's going on and what can you expect right now. But but for people looking to buy and sell at the same time, like I would say it's a much better time now because like a couple of months ago, if you have any kind of contingencies on your offer, like it's not even like they're not going to look at that.
Right.
Because why would I accept your offer if you have a home to sell that's not even listed yet when I got this cash offer without a home inspection? Like, sorry, pal.
Yep.
But now if you're the only game in town, now sellers are much more willing to work with that. So it'd be a good opportunity for those step up buyers. And again, like your home is probably going to sit a little bit longer. It's not going to be, because I feel like we talked about that a couple pods ago where it's like, just plan on having 2 days of just being out of the house, right? And then there's going to be like 50 showings. Everybody's going to come and we'll just see how many offers we get. Now it's more of, okay, well, let's plan to do an open house this weekend. And, so it's just like the conversations are changing.
Yeah. It's making us kind of work a little bit harder to get these houses sold.
100%.
which is fun.
100%.
I enjoy it, but
Makes us work a lot less hard to get offers accepted though,
Yeah.
which is cool. So it's just one of those things, but
yeah. Well, and I mean, we've spoke about it before, and you just kind of touched on it. Like, it's a double-edged sword when you're buying and selling in the same market. So
it is very cool though for our buyers that we're like getting buyer fatigue.
Yep.
So it's like, Spencer, how many times can you ask your girl out and her just say no before you just quit asking girls out? How many times can you go look at this house right away, put in the best possible offer you can get, only to be like the fourth offer in line?
Yep.
Before you're like, this maybe we should just rent for another year. So those people now are able to get their offers accepted, which is very cool.
yeah.
So
I feel like a big reason that this shift is kind of happening is because of interest rates going up. What is your 2 cents on the higher interest rates?
yeah, I feel like we touched on this too, and I actually feel pretty smart now because I feel like prophetically, we kind of talked about this type of stuff. Is
You sound
interest?
smart after saying a word like that. I just sorry, I
Yeah,
had to point that out.
you want to
I
turn
don't
up your
even-
volume, people,
I don't even know what
because
that word means.
prophetic, like prophesy, predict. No big deal. No big deal.
Is this a dictionary sitting across from me? Who is this guy?
Call me Webster, pal. But okay, so this is what typically happens, right? Interest rates are 3%. Well, now interest rates go to 6%. Well, now buyers, they can now afford less house. So say somebody got pre-approved for $400,000 at 3%. Well, now interest rates are at 6%. Well, now they can get pre-approved for $290 or $300, right? So then that's going to help bring prices down. And then in addition to that, typically what happens when market shift, they shift pretty quickly because all the people that are like, well, we'll see, we'll sell, whatever. Now they see that, oh shoot, like we're here, like the market, it peaked. So now you see what we're seeing, which is now the amount of homes on the market have doubled.
Yep.
Which then leads to buyers being able to afford less house and then having more houses to choose from, which is going to slow things down.
And also getting these houses at a better price.
100%.
So, I mean, would you rather have, a 3% interest rate, or would you rather get a house $30,000 less than what you would have got it a few months ago? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it all depends on people's
We should
situations.
sometime do some math.
Do some
on that.
mathematics. Well, but even if
See
the
what
math
difference is.
even if the math checks out though, like you either have cash or you don't.
Yeah.
And so when interest rates do go up, I do feel like that incentivizes people to use cash, which then benefits people that have cash.
Yeah.
Because if I want to buy a $300,000 house and I got $100,000 sitting there, well then like that's going to impact my payment less than the guy that has 3% sitting there. You know, like their payment's going to be significantly higher than mine.
Right.
Or two, but then it just kind of changes the conversation because it used to be like, well, money's cheap, get the biggest house, whatever. Rates are so low, it doesn't matter. But now it's like, okay, rates are pretty high. So now the incentive to put money down toward the principal to help kind of get this thing paid off to then, so it just kind of changes the conversation a little bit.
But like, are rates high? Like, well, from what we're used to, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like historically they're not.
No. I feel, and I don't know where I read this or saw this, or maybe I just made it up, but I feel like interest rates historically are about 7%, like between like 7 and 8%. And I mentioned this at one time, but I read a book by Gary Tharaldson. He's like the wealthiest man from North Dakota. He started an insurance agency and then he just bought a hotel in like the 80s. And then that he just kept. So anyway, it's
Love
talking
you,
about.
Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Big softball guy. Tharaldson Fields right there. Neither here nor there.
Yeah. Never heard of it.
Yeah, I try not to talk about super rich, powerful people on the internet. So my bad, Gary.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just in the book it talked about like like in the mid 2000s, like 2006, he refinanced a lot of his properties because the interest rates got down to 6%.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Well, and that's the thing too. You can always refinance.
Well,
So
and
it's like-
that's the deal. So it's like, well, do I want to pay? It's like, well, what if interest rates go down? It's like, well, refinance, bruh.
Yeah. And maybe you're getting your house, like we said, maybe you're getting your house $30,000 cheaper than you would have a few months ago. So it's tough.
Yeah. But ultimately, like,
it comes down to,
how bad do you
yeah,
want it?
that's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, do you want
bad
to move
do
or not? Do you want to buy a new house or not? Like, don't try to time the market when you're buying and selling at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when people say they are time in the market, they're lucky. Like there's no, or most people, like some investors, there's different. But if
well,
like
for investors, like when it comes to interest rates, like that's another thing that we've kind of talked about before too. Like, who cares what your interest rate is if someone else is paying it?
right,
That's, I guess, in my head how that works.
yeah. But I couldn't agree more. And like what we talk about this all the time. Well, if you're in a rental, like what's your interest rate?
100%.
100%.
Honey P.
A honey P, son. So
That's a high interest rate.
I'll make 6%.
Wowzers.
Make 6 or 7%, not look too bad, huh? and then too, just the whole thing, the long term. We talked about this on a different pod. You buy a house for $200,000, you're in it for 5 years. Well, now it's worth $210 or $215 or whatever.
Yep.
Now you only owe $190 on it. So that difference, like, you know, that's your equity versus, 60 months at $1,000 the other way. That's 60 G's gone.
To me, exactly. I'd rather pay a 50% interest rate and make money on that equity. And
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Did I just do that?
Yes, you did. You know what I mean?
Man.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Cool. So yeah, but that's what's going on in the market right now, and anything could change that. Like all of a sudden rates could go back to 3% and then be like, boom, everything changes. Or like any number of things can change, but that's what we look at right now, and that's like those are the facts that we have to work with. So that's what's going on in your local Fargo Moorhead.
My sources,
Moorhead Fargo ML.
My sources are telling me that interest rates are going to continue to go up. So it's like my sources, dude.
Joey B.
My sources out in the field.
Biden told you that.
I texted Biden. Yeah, that's what you told me.
What a guy.
But yeah, my sources out in the field tell me interest rates are going to continue to go up. So I feel like we're going to continue to, shift towards that buyer's market. Demand's going to continue to go down.
And two, as we head into historically, like, and people always buy and sell during the winter, but when people ask, like, what's the best time to sell your house? It's like spring and fall, or when the market is most active. So once we get past October into holiday season, then things are going to slow down. So if you're thinking about selling and don't want to move and, want to be done by next spring, or don't, or nervous about what rates are going to do and all that other stuff, like, might be a pretty good time to get her done.
Yeah.
And that's something, and that's what we always do. If somebody, like, because we're never going to make somebody want to sell their house, and that's not the goal. The goal is to be like, hey, when you decide you might be thinking about selling, like, someone's going to need to help you, and it might as well be us because we're really good, right? So if you're like curious what your home might be worth, that's something that we always do for free. Give people a free home valuation. So we do a quick walk through their home, just to kind of see the updates that they've made and stuff like that. And then we can show comparable sales and be like, hey, here's a home pretty similar to yours. Like, here's the range that I think your home will sell in. What do you think? And then we can factor in costs and all that type of stuff. So then they have a pretty certain, like, okay, I'll have this chunk of money to put down toward my next place. So now they can just make a better decision for themselves. Like, this makes sense or this does not make sense. But that's something we're always happy to do.
5 sure. Dustin, how long has it been? All right.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect pod.
Good pod, dude.
Dude,
We
just like that.
this information, dude. That's what we just
Are
gave
we
right there.
the best podcast on the internet, would you say?
We're not the worst. Like we said before, there has to be one podcast out there that's worse than this one.
Could you imagine being the worst podcast on the internet?
We should try to find it.
I hope we're not making it right now.
It might be us.
All right. That's your pod. That is Market Talk, Market Minute.
Market 19 minutes. It doesn't go as
2
well.
cents with Josh and somebody else. All
All right.
right. There
Watch
you
for
go.
deer.
Watch for deer. Shake a bug.